Excited to be here with you to present how to stop the insanity and literally reclaim 5 sales hours or more every week. Excited to help you today learn more about how you can avoid drowning in emails, tasks, and digital noise. We've got proven systems that I've been using in many cases for well over 20 years that we're going to share with you here today to help make you more efficient and your team more productive and yield greater sales results in less time. And thanks to the folks at Repfabric for putting this together. And also, if you're interested in my contact information, you can scan this code to the right and you'll get an opportunity to give me your contact info and take mine, as well as be subscribed to our bi-monthly newsletter, free, as well as an opportunity later in the presentation to find out even more about how we can help you work smarter and not harder. So with that being said, we're going to launch into the presentation right now. And first thing to tell you, we're going to be covering some key takeaways here that are going to be throughout this presentation that'll help you work smarter and not harder. We're first going to give you a brief introduction to my skill set and why I do so much work, and I really appreciate that work in the manufacturer representative industry, as well as talking about some things that even before you start considering the other tips and strategies in this presentation, how you can set up your technology, optimize it for your greater productivity from the start. We're also going to talk about how to build a calendar and task management system to help support your sales rhythm, because as we've said before in previous presentations, everybody operates a little different. And the key to your success is customizing and optimizing things to your preferences and needs. We're also going to be talking about how to control your inbox instead of letting it control you, how to find any email, file, or note in seconds, not minutes, how to keep your deals moving even when the customer's replies are slow. And then throughout this presentation, we'll be talking about how you can use Repfabric and Outlook or Gmail to, again, work smarter and not harder. So my background is I'm the former EVP of a manufacturing company called Clover Technologies Group, also a part owner of the company, minority stake. And what happened was back in 2003, I got asked a question, maybe you've gotten it yourself before from a customer or prospect, which was, hey, did you get my email? And unfortunately, I did have a good response from my customer. I said, well, I've been traveling on business. And he literally said 2 words to change my business career. He said, so what? Didn't hire you to find out you don't have control of your time or your technology. And as we all know, technology isn't perfect. We experienced that earlier today. But when he asked me those questions and also said the next question, which was, you probably take your work at home at night with you, don't you? And I had to answer to him, yes. And he said, well, when I have dinner with my family, I'm not taking my work home and I'm not having dinner with my smartphone, but I'm actually having dinner with my family or if I'm out with friends. And so I realized that I wasn't using technology to my advantage, and based upon my history and schooling in computer programming and data science, I learned that I could use technology more efficiently. And I developed this system called Turner Time to help people be more effective with technology. The company was so impressed with that I was working with Clover. The president literally hired me on to be my first customer and paid my executive salary, half of it for a full year, so I could stay at the facilities, give him the ability to still use me as a resource, both for the company business as well as the Turner Time training. And then from there, it branched out, worked with a lot of different companies and organizations. And it's all about using this technology we have more efficiently. But the reality is that for you to be successful, it requires more than just knowing how to use it. It requires preparation. And in the sales game, as we all know, the benefit of being prepared is that when opportunities present themselves and you have the right price list, or you have the follow-up information, or you have your activity journals of all your previous contacts. If you have all those things at your fingertips, then that opportunity combined with your preparation to meet that opportunity generates what a lot of people call luck. And so this session today is all about how you can prepare to be successful, because that means setting up your technology in ways to be more successful, whether it be the actual computing devices like your computer or your smartphone, or the programs and the way they work for you so that you can get things done quicker, faster, more efficiently. So the strategy is out of the gates is to set up and maintain your technology profile. And there's three key aspects to that. Number one, you want to make sure you're creating a technology profile that's efficient, whether it be physically when you're at your home office or the company office or traveling. You want to make sure it's also efficient electronically. Do you have thousands in your inbox and have a hard time finding emails quickly? Do you know what all your open quotes or opportunities are? Those types of questions, setting up your technology profile so that all those things are batched together is very valuable. And as you may know, Repfabric is the perfect place to keep track of all your opportunities and then be able to update those as needed. Also, being able to streamline things. So the way you do them, it's the same way you did them last time. You do them the same way every time. And the reality is when you start getting an efficiency and you start doing things more in line every time the same way, that creates tremendous time savings. Or when you batch things together, not trying to handle emails one at a time, but rather batching your time together to handle all your inbox and get it caught up or respond to those trade show requests. And then the final point is make sure that system is set up, as I mentioned, from it works the same when you're in your office or your home office or out on the road, so that you're reducing the amount of time it takes you to do things. So it's not so much about how you're doing it, it becomes what you're doing and the way you can be more efficient with it. And so that really is formed with a foundation of knowing the best role for each of your devices, your computer, your smartphone, and if you use one, a tablet. You want to maximize that setup so it's of the most efficiency, not just for you, but your entire team. So the recommendations I'm going to give you here today are never absolute, but you'll find some benefit in approaching things this way. I recommend one computer, usually a laptop and not a desktop, if you travel a lot, especially. And the only times I would really recommend a new purchase of a desktop would be if you're always in the same location, meaning you never leave your office, whether it's a home office or you're working home office where you're working remote or you're working from the company offices. The best solution for most people is to have one good laptop. Laptops are so powerful today. There's no advantage for most business users of having a desktop. Now, there are instances. No rule is ever 100% when it comes to technology. So keep that in mind. But setting yourself up with one very good computer can save you a lot of time. Having literally trained and consulted with probably well over 10,000 reps in the last 20 years, I can tell you that making sure that you have your computer all set up and it works no matter where you are and just have one system is usually the most advantageous for you. Also, as you might have seen from the latest announcement from Apple, the new Neo computer that they've come out with, their budget laptop, just goes ahead and proves to you that the iPad and also the Galaxy Tab, of course, they're not computer replacements. So if you're never spending any time on the computer, that's actually costing you time, even if you're using a nice tablet. So keep that in mind. I do use a tablet. I have what's called the Remarkable, and that gives me a great deal of flexibility because I'm able to use that tablet to look at files, PDFs, as well as be able to take all my notes and then cut and paste those and put those into OneNote, for instance. So that's called the Remarkable tablet. paper tablet's very useful. I think that's better than having a full Samsung or iPad, which for me just tends to be a distraction. And of course, smartphone, if you can consolidate, there's ways to make your smartphone work for both business and personal. That to me, if that's possible, that's the best scenario. If you have to have two phones, they can both be customized as well. And then, as I mentioned earlier, consider that using a computer is important. If you're using a smartphone all day long and you very rarely use the computer, you're probably costing yourself anywhere from 15 to 20 or 25% of your time, because a computer does things much more efficiently in many cases than a smartphone will. That being said, just to give you a brief overview of the technology that I use and I have access to, because I coach with people that have a wide variety of setups. So right now in this presentation today, when I show you my screen, I'll be using a Microsoft 365 premium license in a classic Outlook for Windows environment. It's a Dell premium laptop, Windows 11. And I do have Copilot Pro, which we'll talk about. And there's been a lot of misconceptions I've found with people feeling that Copilot is not as good as some of the third-party tools out there. But quite frankly, in reality, it's very good. In fact, it's got some real advantages, because if you're on the full Copilot Premium or Pro, it's going to give you access to information that ChatGPT or Grok or these other tools will never be able to have, as well as a Samsung S25 smartphone. I mentioned the paper tablet. And then also another thing I do, which has been really helpful, I do recommend for salespeople, especially if you're one that's mobile, meaning an outside person, to invest in a good, inexpensive Bluetooth headset, as opposed to trying to use AirPods or even trying to use your car or truck Bluetooth. And the best one I found is the Poly Legend 50 Bluetooth headset. Gives excellent quality. It even can work for your computer. I'm using it right now. So that's a good addition to kind of getting you the best tech setup. And then also for training or coaching in any scenario, we'll talk about an opportunity you have to for your firm to set up a complimentary through Repfabric. The offer is that we'll provide you a no-cost complimentary follow-up coaching call, follow-up session with me after today's session. So as you can see, I have all the other technology I might need: iPhone, tablets, all the other devices, MacBook, so I can handle any type of scenario. So when we talk about how you're going to be more efficient, once that technology foundation is laid down and you're happy with it and it's set up, then I want you to consider a new and improved strategy for 2026 to be more efficient. You know, technology is not becoming less of our business every day. It's becoming more of our business every day. And boy, is AI potentially a game changer for so many of us? Yes. It's exciting, and we'll be talking about some of the great features that Repfabric is already putting in AI related, and they're leading the pack in terms of the CRM world with some of the things they're making available to each of us. By the way, I've been working with Repfabric for 10 years. I do, quote, rep them, and I'm excited to tell you that I'm extremely impressed with the AI features that John Mitchell and the team have built into Repfabric. And the point is that if you start adopting those tools and not just saying, oh yeah, I know they got a new feature, I'll get to it someday, but start using it actively, this idea of taking your methodology and the way you work and constantly optimizing it and improving it is going to mean the world to your productivity and future success. It's really simple: continuous improvement methodology. What that means is that I'm suggesting to you that you enhance, refine, and improve and optimize the way you work with Outlook or Gmail, Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, and your iPhone or Android phone to achieve more success with less stress. And the exciting news is you don't have to go take a sabbatical or a 3-week vacation to implement all this technology. You can, as I did years ago, make your work your practice. So how does that all roll out? How do we actually start making these changes strategically and in the things we do every day to be more efficient? And that's through two keys that I've gleaned in doing this job now. I didn't mention at the outset, but when I did make that change at Clover to start the Turner Time organization, that training I did for the company internally, I was working with literally 80 reps traveling the US and Canada and training all of them on the Turner Time methodologies. And so what I'm going to share with you now are a number of those tips or ideas that constantly advance as technology advances. And when you combine those 60-second habits with these strategies, it's going to enable you to achieve great success. So this page gives you a whole lot of ideas here that you can start implementing. And I'm going to go through and show you several of these. The ones in orange, obviously, are Repfabric related tips. So even if you're not a Repfabric user, no worries. We're still going to provide plenty of great information here today to help you be more efficient. But one of the first things in terms of strategies is start to leverage generative AI, not to replace your skills, but to extend them. In other words, one of the great things about Microsoft 365 Copilot is the ability to kind of search all your history on your computer and what you have access to. For Repfabric, being able to be on your smartphone, and we'll actually show you a live tip or a tip from John Mitchell, where he's actually able to, and you'll be able to do this too, you'll be able to record your activity journal and say each manufacturer, recap, and then have all that put in and all the individual manufacturers or principles you talked about put in the right fields in your activity journal. So these types of things that are set up with AI can be greatly improving your productivity, but the key is making sure you're using them to extend. I don't use it to write every email. That actually starts to degrade your abilities. You can imagine it's use it or lose it, even when it comes to AI. So if you're using it to extend your capabilities, you're on the right track. If you're using to enable you not to have to do any work by using AI, that might be a problem. Another thing to keep in mind, and one of the reasons why Copilot 365 as well as Google Gemini are perceived maybe as not as good as some of these chatbots you can get through Grok, or rather the Grok chatbot, or through OpenAI's ChatGPT, is because with the Copilot and Gemini worlds, you want to go ahead and put in the specifics, what's called instructions or custom instructions with your framework and role. And when you put those in, you don't have to type them in every prompt. They're actually automatically input. They automatically stay with all your conversations or chats, and it's greatly improving the efficiency and the precision of the results you get. The best way to look at generative AI is kind of MIMO. You've heard of GIGO, which is garbage in, garbage out, but I'd say MIMO, which is minimal in, minimal out. So having custom instructions in will definitely help improve your results. Doing things for a strategy, taking some time with your smartphone and stop using the mail or the calendar apps that are on your phone, and either use the Google Gmail if you're using the Google Workspace platform, or Outlook if you're using the Microsoft 365 platform, and customize that app to your needs to line out the app, the different functions the way you want. You can actually customize those.
Excuse me, Steve.
Yes, go
We have
ahead.
a question.
Okay.
I have posted that in the chat.
Okay.
It says, is Copilot Enterprise version part of Microsoft 365 subscription, or do I need to pay for that as an added product?
That's a great question. So the answer to that is that if you get the general version, or what's called Office Premium, or now it's called Microsoft 365 standard license, not the premium license rather, but the standard one, that includes Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat, which is the same feature you get when you use ChatGPT, very similar to that. And that is free, that's no cost. If you want the full version where it actually looks at your files and is able to, you could put in, tell me all my history I've had with Repfabric, let's say, or maybe it's one of your manufacturers or customers, It will return all the emails, files, and other communications you've had with that account. And for that version, that's called Microsoft 365 Copilot Pro or Premium. That one for a small or medium business is actually $21 per month. $21 per month. So the free version, which is basically just a chat where you can work on a specific file, is free. And the general chat where it searches the web. Or if you get the full version, it's going to cost you 21 bucks a month. It is a year license, and that will get you access to everything in your Microsoft 365 universe, you personally, from a business perspective. Great question. So modifying and kind of customizing these different programs, even Copilot, Outlook, etc., are going to help you be more efficient. Customize your Repfabric dashboard. And of course, if you're not already, leverage the Repfabric LMS. There is so much great information in there as far as how to do certain things with either short videos or tutorials or informational notes that will help you be more successful with Repfabric. And obviously, it's available 24/7. It sits within Repfabric, the website portal, when you log in. Also, I mentioned the whole thing about Bluetooth headsets. I think they're the better option than some of the other Bluetooth tools that are out there. RoboForm, I use to manage all my passwords and passkeys. It's about $40 a year, and it works on all your devices. Another great way to save time and be more efficient. Make sure that when you're using Repfabric, I've seen this happen to a lot of people. They'll go ahead and they'll go onto their phone and they go, oh, where's my Repfabric app? And they got to go find it. Again, hopefully you're using Repfabric every single day after every call if you're out in the field. And so putting it on your home screen, more specifically in your icon dock at the bottom, is the best place to put it, especially if you're making a lot of phone calls from there, from your phone, because if you are, you want to have the Repfabric app as the way you're placing those calls, because if you place them through Repfabric, it gives you the ability to automatically create an activity journal at the end of your call. Great feature. And then last but not least, another great strategy is to start using Microsoft Bookings, or if you're a Google Workspace user, then appointment schedules, to be able to share your availability outside your organization and enable people to quickly set up a time without having to go back and forth, negotiate the date and time. And we'll be sharing that Bookings QR code at the end of this presentation so you can set up for your firm a coaching session with me to discuss anything you've seen in this session or more. So that's one aspect of it, is starting to put these strategies in place. We talked about having a computer system and a phone and a setup for you technology device-wise that's the best. And now we're talking about some of these strategies you can put in place to put even more into best condition so that you're much better able to handle your workload without stoppage. And so the sort of combination factor that kind of helps you be even more successful, this is like the rocket fuel that helps you go to the next level. And that is what I call Turner Time Tips, or 60-second habits. These are things that are built into your phone or computer that nobody ever uses because they don't know about them. What are you doing every day? You're focused on your job, focused on your manufacturers, working with your distributors, working with your end users, your customers. Who's got time to sit down and figure out all this technology? Well, we're going to give you some great tips and save you a lot of time that you can consider using right after this call you're listening to today. So for instance, the Windows Clipboard, which is a great tool. If you're on Mac, you got to get a third-party tool, and they're in the App Store. But the Windows Clipboard, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what that does. Is if I go on my screen here or anywhere on my computer and I do Windows V, that brings up what's called the Windows Clipboard. And it stores in here the last 20 clips, and the ones that I'm using frequently, I can go ahead and I can pin to this list. You can see this pin here so that they don't leave. For instance, I've got 2 Camerons at a company called Affinity, and we had an issue with scheduling, not surprising, same first name, same company. And so it was helpful to have both their email addresses here on my Windows clipboard. And I just copied them in my clipboard with Control C. And then I can just click on where I want to put them. And then it drops them in there just by clicking on the text. So that's a great tool called the Windows Clipboard. It's on every single Windows computer. Very few people know about it. Windows V is the way you access it. Also, here's another great feature, and we're going to be showing this video here in just a couple minutes, so we'll take a look at it right now. So if I go into my templated emails, and if I ever want to resend a actual email to somebody else, and this is a great one to resend, this is the AI activity journal entry through Repfabric, which we're going to watch right now. This is another great 60-second habit. It's actually 2 60-second habits. The first one is that we're going to go ahead and watch this video, and you're going to see how you can use Repfabric and your voice recognition to record an activity journal quickly. That'll be a quick tip in a couple minutes. And then we'll also show you how to then share that again with another user without having to copy and paste it every single time. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And then Irfan, keep watching our chat for additional questions. Let's go. Okay, let me go ahead and make sure I'm sharing my audio too as well. Share, turn on sound. There we go. Okay. Irfan, maybe you can confirm once I get this started that you can hear it. Let's go ahead and turn this on. Can you hear it?
Okay, so what we see is my Outlook meeting invites mirror right into Repfabric without any extra data entry. So I'm going to go ahead and go in and make my sales call at Pinnacle Distribution. When I come out, I'm going to click on Pinnacle Distribution. I can see that I had met with Jasper Holloway, who is my Outlook meeting invitee. I go ahead and click on the activity journal button up at the top. Now I'm going to use my AJ Smart entry. Going to recap what we talked about. Manufacturer recap Blodgett. I met recently with Jasper Holloway at Pinnacle Distribution. We discussed several different new features, including our new dual oven for the hydrovection line, the HV100. He said he thinks there might be a fit at the new White Wolf concept being done by TPG Partners. Follow up in 2 weeks. Manufacturer recap Turbo Chef. We also discussed the commercial grills panini line that they're having problems with from their existing vendor. He'd be interested in getting a price list and some of the models from us so that they could possibly look to source us in place of others that maybe are having these delivery problems. He thinks that we should have a good chance at it as long as we can meet the price points that they're seeking. Now I save that. It's going to upload, and we're just going to give it a minute here. Okay, and we're going to go in, refresh it, and we can see what we just covered. Also note that we've got a follow-up that's already been enabled for that, and we can even create tasks that go with it. Okay, so
what an amazing tool.
All right. Excuse me, Steve. There was a question.
Yep, go ahead.
It says, on the AJ AI entry, is there a way to review what the AI is transcribing before saving the AJ?
Got it. Great question. Yeah. Actually, what's going to happen is, as John was showing in the video, when it gets to actually generating that, that text is right here. So you could certainly go in and click on it and edit that. And then when you hit the disk in the upper right corner, that's going to be saved. So until you've officially saved it, it's still in here in an editable mode. And of course, you could edit it back if you wanted to go back in and edit it. But this will then, you make any changes you have to make before it actually is saved as a full AJ. So great question. So that's that's kind of the concept that we've been talking about, using AI to extend your capabilities. Because let's face it, I know I'm terrible typist, even worse on the smartphone. So the fact that I can record it and then have it kind of optimize that text for me through AI is really extending my skills. And otherwise, I might be back on that keyboard for 5 minutes trying to get the text exactly right. So great feature to use. Excellent. All right,
And
let's
excuse me, Steve, we have
go
another
ahead.
question.
Okay.
Is it possible to access any API with Repfabric with, say, Claude for customized development?
Yeah, that's a great question. That would be a question probably for John Mitchell and his design team. We will go ahead and run that over to John and get back to you on that one. Don't have that answer for you right now. I can tell you as far as Claude goes, we mentioned earlier that Microsoft is working with OpenAI and ChatGPT. They're now starting to become multi-offer, so they're not just going to offer the OpenAI solution, ChatGPT 5.4. They're also going to start offering Claude and have actually started doing that. And that's controlled on your Microsoft 365 admin panel to bring in Claude. But as far as interfacing with Repfabric, I don't have that information right now, but we'll get you an answer. Okay. Great questions. Keep them coming. So when we talk about these other 60-second tips, other than the AI smart entry, when you're on your mobile, there's another great tool called Microsoft Loop. We just don't have time to go into all these tips, but you can go ahead and take a picture of the screen and utilize it to your advantage. And if you have questions, just go ahead and drop an email to me at steve@turnertimemanagement.com. Al, maybe you could drop my email address in the chat for everybody so they have access to it. That'd be great. And then another great tool you can use is the 3D touch. Some people know about this, many people don't. And that is when you're on your smartphone, whether tablet, whether it be an Android or an iPhone. A lot of times when you go to open an app, you tend to get what? Distracted. Well, if you grab your smartphone for just a minute, and let's say you go to your mail app, whatever you're using for email, and you hold your finger down on it for 2 seconds, as you can see, up pops a little menu. That short menu is just like right click on your computer. When you're on your computer screen and you right click it, or if you're on a Mac, you control and left and click, that will bring up a short menu, and you can send that new email from your phone or your computer, depending upon which you're on. On the phone, it's that 3D touch. On the computer, it's the right click or the control click, and then going ahead and sending that email without having to open the email program, for instance. Huge time saver. So those kind of tips help you avoid distractions, because the one thing we can't make more of, we can make more sales. The manufacturer can make more products, but we can't make more time. So starting to use these tools to start to streamline and condense the amount of time you take to get things done is going to be hugely productive. There's another great tool called Text Expander, which can literally help you save an hour or two a week. And what Text Expander enables you to do is, even though it's saving you an hour or two a week, it's only taking seconds to type out some text. So for instance, if I'm in an email, let's say I'm going to go ahead and forward this email on, and then I'm also looking for, let's just say I'm sending this to Irfan. I want him to also send me something in the mail, and I want to give him my mailing address. So I type TTMA, and I just hit the space bar. Autocorrect will enable me, or Text Expander will enable me to not have to retype that text every time. Or maybe it's the information that when I'm setting up a webinar through Microsoft Teams or a Teams meeting, I don't want to have to retype all the information that I'd normally have to cut and paste, and I can just set up a shortcut for that. So there's a feature native to Outlook Classic. It's not available in the new Outlook on Windows, and it is available on Outlook on Mac, which is called autocorrect, which enables you to save little snippets or big snippets based upon what you're typing repetitively. The only problem with autocorrect is it only works in Outlook. And there's a separate autocorrect feature in Excel, Word, and PowerPoint. and there's not one in Teams yet though. So that I found a bit limiting. So what I did find was this app called Text Expander, which is a separate purchase, make no doubt. However, it is inexpensive. And last week, it saved me 2 hours of typing by snippets expanded of 203. So I had 203 snippets that I used these type of shortcuts I was just mentioned to. And the cost of that product is about $5 a month. We'll put the information out with the follow-up email that comes out on Text Expander if you're interested. And I quote, I do rep them just to give you a full disclosure. But the point is, at $5 a month, if it's saving me 2 hours a week, I think I'm in pretty good shape. I think it's a pretty good investment because it works anywhere on your computer, web, Word, Outlook, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, anywhere. So great way to save time. So kind of banding together all these ideas, and I don't expect you to take every one, folks, but go through these lists of things and pick out the ones that can be most valuable to you, and you can leave the rest behind if you want. Also, emailing your availability, last minute availability if you're in the field. Let's go ahead and take a look at that for a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my phone screen now. Let's go hop over to my phone link app. And we're going to go ahead and share the phone screen. Okay. Now you can see here, this is an Android phone, but the feature I'm going to show you works the same way. By the way, before I do that, I would just want to mention, as far as strategy, having your most used app at the bottom of the screen and what's called the icon dock down here at the bottom is most advantageous because those apps never move. As you see, as I switch screens, those apps stay at the bottom. So please take the time to go through all your apps if you haven't already, and make sure if you're Android, you get up to 5 down here. You put the 5 most used apps at the bottom. If you're on iPhone, it's 4. That way you got quick access to them and you don't have to swipe through screens to get to them. So you can see I've got Repfabric, my phone, my text messaging, my Outlook email, and then also my Outlook calendar, because on Android it's separate. On the iPhone, it's just one icon. But the point is, if I want to go ahead and send that email, if somebody calls me and says, oh, Steve, I can't make it this morning for our meeting. What do you have this afternoon? That never happens, does it? I'm going to hold my finger down on the email icon here, and I'm going to go ahead and use that 3D touch to do that, and then go ahead and hit new email. And then when this pops up, you'll see right above the keyboard here, I've got a series of icons here. And one of those, if I click it as the calendar, it gives me the ability to send my availability. So I can literally send my availability right from the phone and have somebody select the date and time that they want to meet instead of what doesn't work right now. The other thing you can do with that is if you had a meeting and somebody wanted to go ahead and reschedule it, or gave you the actual details on what time they wanted to reschedule it for, then you could just click on the email and go ahead and do a reply, and then go ahead into that same icon and convert it into an event. And with one click, it's converted that email into an event. So these are the types of things you can do on your phone, and you can't do that in the native mail apps. So using the Outlook app is a much greater benefit to you than using the standard app that comes with the device. All right, so that's sending your last minute availability or converting it into a meeting. Also, another great feature, and the new Outlook has added this in finally. It's just it's limited though, but is quick steps for Outlook. So I don't know if this ever happens to you, but sometimes I get emails that I really don't want to deal with. Here's one right here. This gentleman he's introducing me to their services. I'm not interested in it. So these up here at the top of your screen, these are called the quick steps. And the quick steps enable you to file into folders with one click, or in this case with the not interested button, it enables me to reply to the email with a specific message. Thank you for your email. No, I'm not interested, because this is a legitimate email. and then I can have it automatically sent after 1 minute, and then I move it into my junk mail filter. So with one click, I can go ahead and hit that button and done. Now I'm on to my next email. So when we talk about email management, we'll be talking about that in a few minutes, about how you can set up your Outlook or your Gmail so you can get through emails faster. One of those things in the Windows world is, or the Microsoft world, is using the quick steps to do that.
Excuse me, Steve.
Yes.
We have two questions.
Okay.
First one is, will these slides be emailed out after the meeting?
Okay. Great question. We're going to be providing this recording. That's how you're watching this right now. So I think you're fine with that. Hopefully, you can take a picture of the screen so you have all the content we're discussing is this complete presentation. No
Right.
problem. And the other
And
question?
that's, yeah, the second question is, do any of these tips help search for an email?
Yes, we're going to get into searching for emails here in just a moment. And so, yeah, we'll hold that one for a minute, Irfan, but that's a great question. We are going to be addressing that here shortly.
All right.
Excellent. Okay, another great feature is Windows H. So if you are using Repfabric on your computer and you're like me and you're not a great typist, Windows H activates dictation. It's included with your Windows computer anywhere, even in Repfabric. So even if you're logging into your instance through the web and you're there, you can just go ahead and hit Windows H and speak your information into your computer and have it transcribed, or you can do it in the Outlook add-in. So if I go to my Outlook right now, hopefully everybody is using an Outlook add-in from Repfabric. And so here's some interesting information. I just got somebody who, Adam Conley, went ahead and registered. You scanned that QR code that we showed up at the beginning of the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my Repfabric add-in, and I'm going to go ahead and add this in as a opportunity to follow up with Adam, because I haven't talked with them for a while. And so I'm going to create an opportunity out of it. And you can see here I can put in the specific information. And just to save time, I won't do that right now, but that's the benefit of the Repfabric add-in. I just ran into or worked with a client that uses Repfabric. They were using primarily the mobile app and the web version, didn't really have the ability to get it set up. So whenever you have a technical issue, for some reason, whether it's your computer or whatever, one of the things that we do is provide a world of support. So we're happy to help you out, sort those things out, and figure out what the issue is. But the point is that having this Repfabric add-in pinned over here on the right side gives you the ability to then just go ahead and work off of the email to put information in. So great way to be more effective is to leverage the Repfabric add-in and put the details in here very quickly, and you can just drag them to the right fields. So very good way to be more effective. All right, let's go ahead and continue on. So as we talk about strategy again, so we just went over some tips on ways you can be more effective. Let's go ahead and talk about a sort of a framework on how you can start organizing all these things. I know I've presented a lot of information already, folks, but the key to being more efficient is taking your time and gradually implementing these things. So many sales professionals I work with, we're always like foots to the floor with the accelerator down to the floor. We're working really hard getting things done. But sometimes if we back off just a little bit, we're going to see, instead of this big glob of information, we're going to see what's really going on here. And that is that we have 7 silos or pillars of productivity we're working with every day. Every business day we're using these things, and we don't even realize that if we start associating information, streamline it by using the same tools in the same way every time, that increases our efficiency and enables us to work smarter and not harder. So for instance, starting off with your calendar, we read in English from left to right, and that's why the calendar's on the left. The most important thing I can tell you as we kind of get ready in the last part of our session here to go over some specific best practices for a number of these silos. It all starts with how well you manage your time. You can be great at responding to emails, great presenter, great follow-up, but if you can't manage your time, that's a problem. So that's the most important thing I want to share with you today. And we're going to give you some great tips here and strategies to manage your time even better than you have before. Next thing is managing email. Very important, just with like calendar time. You take time to manage your calendar, you take time to manage your email. If you think you're going to win the email battle one email at a time, I can tell you from my years' experience, it just doesn't work. And AI is not good enough to handle all my emails with 100% accuracy. And I can't accept 90% accuracy with AI, so it's not quite there yet. Number 3, most important silo, that's why it's in green, means generating revenue. Means generating revenue for you and your manufacturers. And that is using and taking full advantage of the Repfabric CRM and using it on all your devices. So you don't have to wait till you get back at your home office or the office. You're using it in the field after every call. You're never going to get better information for that call summary, just like John was showing, than when you're doing it right after the call. Notes management. If you're a Microsoft 365 user, then OneNote is the bomb. It is a great tool. It's amazing. You want to take advantage of it and get all your notes into one place. Tasks and projects. One of the questions that I've heard before is people ask, hey, can I manage my tasks through OneNote? Well, a lot of people take those tasks in OneNote, but if you right click the line item or the line of text in OneNote, you right click it, you can create a task which is then sent to do. Also, if you create a task in Repfabric, that also flows into your Microsoft To Do.
Excuse me,
So
Steve.
there's a benefit. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and we have the same question in the chat also. Can you sync OneNote to Outlook to-do list?
Yes, you can. Yes, if you go to a task in OneNote, you create a task. So you just go over to OneNote here. If I have it open, yep, okay. And I go ahead and right click on this right here. I can create a task out of it. This is an Outlook task, and I can assign a date of today, and that will then show up in my Microsoft To Do. Absolutely. So leveraging these 7 silos can make you much more efficient. And part of that is making sure those silos aren't needlessly interrupting you. Dropbox is a great example of file management where it comes up with a lot of messages. Maybe you don't realize this. If you're a Microsoft 365 user, you might not need Dropbox anymore. Maybe if you're a manufacturer using it, you do. But for your internal use, Microsoft's SharePoint and OneDrive combination is pretty powerful. But back to the main point, which is you want to look at all your notifications as you're setting up your technology to make sure things aren't interrupting you needlessly. Okay, any other questions in the chat right now, Irfan? We've got about 9 minutes left to go, or 8 minutes left, or actually closer to 10 minutes left to go. Any other questions?
Yes, we have a question, and it is, do you have any food service, sales, agencies, or manufacturers using Repfabric?
Yes, we do. And I was just had the good pleasure of being at the MOPSI conference in Palm Springs, California, just a couple months ago. Darn, and because I'm from Chicago, so it was much warmer there. But yes, we have a number of clients in the food service industry and many more coming online, especially after that meeting. So absolutely. And these tools I've found that Repfabric has work in any industry. They may have to be modified, of course, to customize to your industry, but Repfabric is expert of making those recommendations and absolutely have products for that. Repfabric will work in that industry. Okay, so let's just talk about a few tips here on building a calendar and task system that supports your sales ribbon. We have to customize things. Everything's not one size fits all. But one of the main things I'm going to talk about here in just a moment is the daily wrap and the daily startup. And these are the keys to increasing your efficiency today before you end your day and hitting the ground running tomorrow morning. So we're going to go into that. And then we might have some time to go in some of these other tips too, but I'm leaving this up long enough so you can at least take a snapshot of the screen if you want to go back and look at it or screen snip it. Okay, so when I talk about the daily wrap up and daily startup, this was a game changer for me personally, because I used to wake up at 3 in the morning going, oh my gosh, did we get that PO? Oh wow, did we get that replacement shipped? These are the kind of questions I'd be asking myself throughout the evening, that night, 3 in the morning, the next morning. And I found out and finally took the advice of my customer who called me out and said, you take your work home at night with you. When I started organizing my day before I left the office for the next day, game changer. It's 15 minutes today is going to save you an hour tomorrow. When you take the time before the exact end of the day to line out your day and prepare for the next morning, instead of doing what I used to do is, what am I going to do in the morning? Oh, I'll worry about it in the morning. Doesn't work. There's problems. Other people have order issues. They didn't get their product. They need new pricing, whatever it is. All those things build up overnight sometimes. So the key to avoiding that is if you're going to end your day at 6 o'clock, let's say, then at 5 o'clock, 4:30, take that 15 minutes to ask yourself 3 key questions. Number 1, what am I not going to have finished today that needs to be prioritized for the next business day? That's the first key question. Number 2, what's already on the schedule for tomorrow or the next business day? Let's say if it's Friday. And what do I have to have prepared for the next business day? This one used to catch me as an outside salesperson. I'd get everything done, make sure I got gas in the tank. I'm leaving for my first client after spending a little too long in email in the morning. I'm driving to the customer. Oh, do I got that sample or that spreadsheet or whatever I was supposed to bring? Sometimes I'd have to go back. Why? Because I tried to prepare in the morning instead of the night before. And then number 3, this is a big one. Many of us don't ask ourselves this question until it's annual review with the manufacturer or maybe internally with our boss. And that is, what's the top 3 to 5 things I need to do to be the most successful? If you'll start to do these on a consistent basis, you're going to see an amazing increase in your productivity, because most people are just running and gunning, and they're thinking about these things while they're waiting to see the client in the lobby or sitting in the guy's office as he comes off the shop floor. So ask yourself these in advance before you end today, and that's going to supercharge your productivity tomorrow. So building a calendar system and tasks, how are you going to manage those? We just mentioned Microsoft To Do earlier. That's one great way. If you do partake in that follow-up coaching session we're offering, I'll go in, I'll show you some other ways to do it using your, if you're on Windows, showing you how to use your Outlook calendar to do that even more effectively. But these are some of the keys that you should be doing. And if you're an iPhone user and you've got a lot of windshield time, you can actually set up your iPhone so that when you tell Siri to set up a meeting, she'll put it on your Outlook calendar right from your phone without even having to take the phone out of the cradle, just by using the Siri feature. That does have to be configured, but once it's configured, it's a home run. And then just managing your tasks. Microsoft To Do, as I mentioned, is a great tool. If you're on Google, you'll want to consider Google Tasks. And the next level up, which is planning, and I have a number of firms now that are using Microsoft Planner to plan out their manufacturer plans for the year. I know I was impressed when the manufacturer rep firm just sent me an Excel spreadsheet what their plan was for the year. But now you can use Microsoft Planner and assign those tasks to the people on your team, and it's going to show up on their phone. Amazing tool. Or if you're Google, you're going to use ClickUp as a great alternative. Okay, we got just a few minutes left. We're going to go ahead and talk more about the inbox now. And in this case, we're going to talk about how to manage it. So the first key is, you saw when I showed you the quick steps earlier, I'm suggesting you optimize and set that up for maximum efficiency. There's a setting in both Outlook on your phone and your computer, and also on Gmail, so that when you're done with one email, it takes you right on to the next. So if you've been in an old half-day meeting or in some training and you get out and now you got to catch up on 20, 30 emails, the fact that you can go through your emails sequentially, starting at the top, after you've picked off any important ones that have to be answered immediately, is a great way to get that inbox cleared first and quickly. So optimizing your email app to do that is great. And like I said, if you take advantage of that free coaching session with us, we can show you how to do that specifically. Next thing is, don't use flags. A lot of people, I work with so many people and they've got flags and they're like rabbits. They tend to multiply. You start off with 10 flags. Next thing you know, you got 100. So I'd rather see you use either folders, categories, or if you're a Gmail user, use labels to bring all those emails together. Like maybe emails or orders you want to close this week. Of course, you have all those on your opportunity list, but this brings it right into your inbox without even having to go to Repfabric immediately. If you've got a few that you want to make sure you close, you can have a short list there. Waiting for an answer, that would be things that you're waiting a response on, have all those batched together, or things for future development. And finally, when we talk about email management, implementing a process to help you manage your inbox, like some of the tips I was mentioning earlier, like going from one email onto the next and using the categories, can really substantially reduce your email management time. And you can check out some of our satisfied customers on turnertimemanagement.com, and you'll see that it is possible. If you don't think it's possible, it is possible to get control of your inbox, no doubt about it. Okay, I know we had a question about finding email, so we're going to talk about that for a couple minutes. The first thing is, just out of the gates, don't search for all the emails from Bill or John or whoever and then expect to go through them all to find the right one. More information you put in, it's going to give you fewer results. And because we're pressed on time here, I'm not going to go through into the inbox to show you that, but rest assured, when you put in more information, you're going to get fewer results. That's going to mean less searching time. If you have things that have phrases or product names that are specific, put quotes around them to find them faster, and then also built into both Google search and Microsoft Outlook is the ability to do this little drop down over here that gives you more criteria so you can find things quicker. All right. So how do we keep deals moving when customer replies are so slow? Use the AI follow-up feature that's built into Repfabric. And that's a great tool that you can customize to be more efficient. We'll include a video on how to do that as well. We use Mailchimp. We send out a newsletter every 2 months to over 10,000 business professionals. That ties into Repfabric. What a great way to save time. And then some of you may have saw our dub video. We'll include that as well so you can see what that's like. We did a little intro to this webinar in advance. It's an audio-visual message you can record right from your Outlook and enables you to send that, and somebody gets a live video, not a live feed, but recorded live message from you. It's pretty compelling. And then finally, you can use the Real Talk, which is in the Microsoft 365 Copilot, right from your phone, Android or iPhone, to speak to your AI and brainstorm on how you can close business faster. So those are just 4 quick ideas. It's all about these strategies, combining those with these 60-second habits for greater success. Okay, as we wrap up, I just want to mention that it's been great presenting to you all today. Thank you for your patience. You can call, text, or email me if you scan that code on the right. That'll enable you to set up a call, or actually share your information with me, and you'll be signed up for our newsletter. The one on the left actually enables you to set up that call with Turner Time Management and me for your complimentary coaching session or productivity audit. Maybe you just want to see, hey, how productive are we? Tell me what you're doing. We'll let you know. And then also the email will include an offer for our professional upskilling package, which covers these tips plus many, many more. We'll be sending that out after the session. So there's a lot of information here and abilities to be more efficient. Irfan, if there's no other questions, I think we'll wrap up for the session.
Yes, Steve, we don't have any more questions.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.